first Ant-Man, one of the things that it got to me about the reaction to the first Ant-Man was a lot of the sort of the comedy and stuff was ascribed to Edgar Wright being involved before you.
Right.
Was there something this time round that made you want to prove those people wrong and go, this time it's all me and it's just as good?
I'd love to say, but no, there wasn't really. I think I'd never directed a sequel before as a director. This is the first one I've ever done. So any sort of pressure to me was more self-imposed about, I want to get a sequel right. You know, because I have, as a moviegoer, very specific ideas about what I like and what I don't like in sequels. I knew I wanted to try and make this even more densely funny than the first one. Now that we'd established Paul Rudd as an action hero, I wanted to let Paul loose a little more and be as funny as we know Paul Rudd is. And then with regards to the PIM particle technology, I really wanted to kind of blow that out and sort of like not just use it on people, but vehicles and buildings, and go crazy with the size changing.
And salt shakers and Pez
salt
dispensers.
Shakers, malfunctioning Ant-Man suit. We really like the idea of like really having fun with that technology.
And it certainly comes across. And one of the things that is involved in the film is the quantum realm. You depict that quite a lot in the film. How did you kind of go about differentiating it from sort of the cosmic Marvel stuff and the Doctor Strange reality bending?
Yeah, quantum realm was one of the maybe the trickiest thing about Ant-Man and the Wasp. We'd seen a little bit, obviously, in the first Ant-Man, but we wanted to expand it. And the good news is the bad news, because it can literally be anything you want it to be. Our visual effects supervisor, Steph Soretti, had also worked on Doctor Strange. So he had a very specific idea of what they had done in that movie and to make ours different. So we really, we looked at a lot of electron microscope photography and things like that for cues. We still wanted to make it psychedelic, but also make it seem real in this very rich environment. And we also wanted to kind of have a philosophy where we wanted people to sort of think, well, okay, they created quantum cameras to go down, and so you could feel the limitations of the photography. It's a little grainy, it's a little jittery, and it's very shallow depth of field. So we really wanted to try and make it feel photographically like it was hard to get the shots in the quantum realm.
That's great. It looks fantastic on the screen.
Oh, thank you.
So this is also the first Marvel superhero movie that has a female hero in the title.
That's right.
How important was it for you to give Evangeline a much bigger role this time?
Well, it was really one of the main reasons that I wanted to do a sequel, was to tell the story of Wasp, because we had really set up Hope's character really specifically in the first movie, and obviously seen the suit at the very end of the movie. So I really felt like I had to be the one to tell that story. And it was really fun to work with Evangeline from the very beginning about constructing this character and how she was going to be different than the first movie, and also how she wanted to be a little different from some of the other female characters, not just in the MCU, but you know, in all superhero movies. She wanted her to be a little gritty and to sweat when she fights and have a very practical ponytail so that we understood how the helmet could come up and down. And she had very specific ideas about Wasp from the beginning, and she was right about almost every one of them.
And how did the chemistry between her and Paul, because it's a different relationship, a different dynamic to what it was last time, how did that come through, and sort of what directions did you give them on that?
Well, it really helps that there's a genuine affection between Paul and Evangeline in real life, and I think they both like the idea of the second one of these movies being about that partnership. And we talked a lot about like old movies like, you know, His Girl Friday and It Happened One Night, and these sort of classic, almost romantic comedies, even though this isn't a romantic comedy, but to have that element in it. And also to start a movie where, you know, they have real issues. You know, she is pissed off and feels betrayed because they were going to be a partnership, and he went off and got involved in the fighting in Civil War. So it was fun to kind of build that arc with the characters of they are not even in each other's lives at the beginning, and then they have to work together for this mission to be a partnership.
Okay, so slight change of pace. Very quickly, finally, I wanted to ask you, because it's the 10-year anniversary of Yes Man.
Oh, wow, it is.
And I wanted to ask you kind of
how you
bring
out Danny Wallace.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you how you feel about that film, looking back on it, and because I really like it. I know a lot of people, you know, aren't perhaps the biggest fans, but I think it's great.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, yeah, it's been 10 years since Yes Man. I have a genuine affection for that movie. I really have an affection for what Danny Wallace did, which was actually do that for a year, say yes to everything. As we were making that movie, you know, all of us on the crew and in the cast kind of started to take that philosophy and used it in our real life. And it was astounding how it kind of made a difference. Even things like someone says, hey, you want to go and have a drink tonight? No, I'm too tired. You say yes to it, and you put yourself out there, and what that sort of affords you in your life, it opens up all these opportunities. And as a side note, it is because of that movie that I met my wife. I literally, after the fact of the movie, Jim Carrey was having a party one night, and I confess I didn't want to go. I was tired. I went to the party.
You didn't want to go to a party with Jim Carrey?
I know, it's crazy, right? I was tired. Mad Men was on TV. So I went to the party, and I met my wife at that party. She was randomly there with a friend. She's not in the movie business. She's a doctor. And it's because of that movie, weirdly, that I met my wife. So I will always have very fond memories of that movie.
Wow, that's amazing. There was me thinking I was the one who had fond memories to do with Yes Man. Thank you so much for that, Peyton. Great to speak to you. Thank you so much.